Welcome to the She Will Shine podcast, where we bring you the real stories of female business owners. My name is Danielle Price and I'm the founder of She Will Shine, a supportive business network for women. It's time to give a voice to women in business and discover their journey.
Hi everyone and welcome to the She Will Shine podcast. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the country on which we record this podcast, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and we recognise their continuing connection to the land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders past and present. Now, in today's episode, we're going to meet the lovely Fernanda Alberici. How are you, Fernanda?
I'm well, thank you. How are you, Danielle?
I'm good. I'm very excited for our conversation today.
Me too.
Now, let me just share with our audience a little bit about you. Fernanda Alberici is the founder of Fab Marketing, a marketing consulting agency providing customized digital marketing solutions and strategies and Facebook ad campaigns to service-based and e-commerce businesses. Fernanda helps create powerful strategies, funnels and campaigns that help women grow a business with more profit, time and freedom. Now, I don't know about you, Fernanda, but well, obviously not because of what you do, but I go into Facebook ads and I get, and I try and close the window because I'm just confused by the whole thing.
A time to call Fernanda.
That's right. That's exactly right.
I know. Most people feel like that about Facebook ads. It's a pity, really. I think I used to feel like that when I first started with ads. I was like, what do I press? What is the right thing to do? But once you understand really what it is and, you know, the functionality of it all, where everything sits, then it becomes really simple, really. It's just a machine. You make your orders. That's what I call it. You know, you order what you want, you press the buttons, and then off it goes. And you can't break it. You can play with it. You won't break it.
I think I've come pretty close. I don't know. Thank you so much for joining us today, Fernanda. I'm really excited to have this conversation. I think it's a long time coming. We've known each other for quite a while now, so I'm really excited to have you. Yeah, really excited to have you on the podcast and hear your story.
Oh, my story. Where do you want me to start?
Let's go. Let's start. All right. What did you want to be when you grew up? What was your dream job back when?
When I was little, it was a funny thing. I wanted to be many things. And I remember asking my mom if we really only had one life because I couldn't choose. I said, I want to be an artist, a scientist, a nurse, a teacher, a mom, as if being a mom excluded all the rest, obviously. You know, there are so many things. But the one thing that was always with me, I wanted to be an actress.
Did you do any drama studies or anything like that?
I did a little bit of drama at uni when I was studying, but I wasn't studying anything to do with art. Because when it came time to actually choose, and my mind was going towards arts, my mom said to me, "Oh, so you're going to starve? Okay, no problems."
There's a reality check.
And that put me off. It put me off. And yeah, I don't know what exactly happened there. And, you know, when you're very young, I didn't know. I wasn't one of those people that had my heart set on something. I kind of knew I wasn't going to go to science side of it. You know, anything with mathematics was off. So for me, I'm terrible at maths. So it had to be something more creative. I contemplated journalism, advertising, marketing, even law, I think, although that's not very creative, but, you know, has more to do with reading rather than doing maths. And what else did I look at? Psychology. I really liked psychology. I almost went into psychology. And it's an interesting thing because if you think about marketing and advertising, it's all about psychology, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
So I ended up doing international business. So that's actually my first degree is in international business. I worked years in exports and imports and that kind of thing. And that's also where I I went to England, and I lived in England for about half a year, a bit more, because my English was very poor at the time. And if you work in exports, you need to speak English. Is the commercial language of the world. And I really had to learn properly. So I went and spent a good half a year in England, immersing myself in the language and the culture.
Obviously, you have a beautiful accent. So where were you born?
Oh, sorry, I forgot that part,
Yes,
right?
I know. I forgot about that because I already know, but our listeners may not.
That's right. I was born in Brazil. So all my family obviously was born in Brazil. I grew up in Brazil, but my family background,
Heritage.
thank you, is Italian. So I come from a mini Italy in Brazil type of thing, where all the towns around. Yeah, it's true. It's like Ligon Street in Melbourne, but it's a much, much bigger region of Italian immigrants. But my parents and I were all born and grew up in Brazil.
Were your parents first generation?
No,
Brazil?
No, my grandparents also were born in Brazil.
So my background's Italian as well. My dad was born over there. My mum was firstborn generation here. So wow. Yeah.
No, the Italian immigration to Australia is much more recent. To Brazil, it goes a few generations back. But I think because the Italian community is so big, it's like I said, lots of towns that all around, all together. It just kind of stayed very Italian for generations. There was until my mom even said, I think until I was little, there was not much mix. In my classroom, you could point out the odd child who did not have an Italian surname.
Even now, like when my kids go to primary school, my daughter goes to primary school, a lot of the population are Italian. And I think it's just, like when people move somewhere, they move where they know the people.
Pretty
that's
much.
Kind of what happens, yeah. So if you say nonna and nonno, everyone in the class knows what you're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you moved to England, 6 months you were there. Did you then go back to Brazil?
Yes, against my will. I was dragged by my parents. I was in England and I caught the travel bug and I didn't want to go back at all. But my parents pretty much blackmailed me. So I did. I went back. I finished my degree. I had not finished yet when I went to England. I got a job in exports in Brazil, but the bug didn't want to leave me. And my only goal, the only thing I wanted to do was to travel. So I started to look at every avenue that I could find. And I found Isaac, which I don't know whether you've heard of it. It's a very, very large student organization. I think in about 85 countries you find it. We definitely have it in Australia, have it in Brazil, have it in Europe. And what they do is they facilitate student exchanges or graduate exchanges as well. So if, let's say, the office here in Melbourne might open 5 spots within certain companies for an internship, therefore they just gain the right to send 5 people overseas. So you always have the same amount of jobs as you have for the same number of students. And then I managed to pass through the whole selection process. And then I gained the right to find myself a job overseas through their systems within the internship. And then I found one in Australia. And I'm like, no kidding, Australia. I never thought about Australia, to be honest. I wanted to go to Europe. That was my thing. But a friend of mine said she had lived a year in Sydney, and she said she loved Australia. She had just great things to talk about, and she showed so many photos and all. And I thought, why not? Let me check it out. Australia sounds exciting. And then I applied for a job, and they accepted me. and I was, oh my God, I'm going to Australia. I resigned. I got my visa within a month.
Off you go.
I had just left my apartment. And then I was here. That was it.
Wow. And how old were you when you came?
26.
26.
Don't ask me how old I am now. I will leave the podcast.
Oh, just a couple of years older than that, Fernanda. Come on.
Just a couple years ago.
So what was the job that you got here in Australia? Was it in Melbourne or was it?
It was in Melbourne, yes. Yeah. It was in Melbourne, and I came and worked for of a sporting organization as the marketing, I think I started as marketing officer, whatever was the title, marketing something. Yeah. And then it was a small office. It was just like 7 people, I think, in the office. And as sometimes someone resigned, so there was one girl who resigned, got another job, that kind of thing. And I went to my boss and I started to dig up opportunities. So I said to him, don't hire someone else for her role. I can do part of the marketing part of what she does. And then the other tasks, well, if you want to hire someone for the other tasks, do it or just distribute to the office. And he said, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I can do it. And so he said, oh, all right. So they had like awards nights, they had events, they had a lot of exciting things that I thought were exciting, and I wasn't doing them. I was doing all the marketing stuff. And so I said, no, I can do them. So he said, oh, okay. So I started to do those. And then they were also running expos. They started to do an expo. And then the guy who ran the first expo after the expo, he left. And so again, my boss stepped to my office and he said, would you be up to do the next expo? And I'm, yes, absolutely. I was up for anything. Just let me grow and let me learn. And so I did the expo in Melbourne and it was highly successful. And so they had offices also in Sydney. And so Sydney was going to run an expo. And so they called the office in Melbourne and said, can we borrow Fernanda to run our expo? And so my boss came to talk to me, so whether I wanted to do it. And I'm like, well, what about you? Like, are you happy for me to go to Sydney? Oh, you don't go to Sydney all the time. You can do it from here and you can travel a little bit. Yes, absolutely. And then he said to me, they will be paying for that job, so you can negotiate your rates with them. I negotiated higher rates. That job created so many opportunities for me because I really wanted to learn and I wanted to grow. So I think I stayed there for about 4 years. And then after that, I moved on for another job. And all those events that I ran really opened a lot of opportunities for the next jobs that came along. So
in terms of the network that you met, or?
No, in terms of the experience. So, a lot of people wanted people who had experience in events. And I had a lot of events in that particular job, and I really enjoyed them. So that's how I moved on to the next things. And
at any point, did you think I could run my own business? Like, did it ever cross your mind, or you were happy learning and soaking in all these new experiences?
I always had in mind a desire to have my own business. I think because one of my aunts, she has a PR agency in Brazil, and she's doing really well. She's always done really, really well. She also organized events. And I kind of always look up to her a little bit. And I don't know, just had that thing of maybe I could do my own thing. I also felt a little bit held behind sometimes in some jobs where you feel like, how am I going to grow? Like, where do I go from here? And I really wanted to grow, I was very ambitious. So I thought, if I have my own business, I'm the only one holding myself back or moving myself forward. Well, now you know how much harder it is when you have your own business.
That's right.
Indeed, you are the person doing it. You need to motivate yourself, and it's not just the motivation. You need to have the courage, to do things outside of your comfort zone. Yeah, and if you don't do them, then nothing happens.
To progress, you need to kind of push yourself, and
there's no one there saying to you, oh, here's an opportunity, or you can do it, or even question you. Wow, you need to do this better next time, or there is no accountability.
No, that's right. You either do it or you don't. It's like, well, you're the only one who knows what's going on.
That's right. You have to go and do it yourself and dig those opportunities for yourself and put yourself forward and create the accountability. Like, you need to do all of it. And I didn't know how hard that was.
I don't think any of us do we? Like, I think we kind of, maybe if we did, we wouldn't do it. I don't know. I kind of think sometimes it's a good thing that we don't know what's ahead of us.
Yes, I agree with that. In the first or second year of my business, I thought so many times of forget about this. In fact, the first year running my business, I actually applied for jobs while I was running the business. I still applied for a few jobs, not many, because I only wanted part-time jobs. And as you know, there are not many part-time jobs out
that's
there.
right.
At the time, definitely there wasn't. So, but I remember at the time that if I had got one, I would have just, finished the business and okay, move on.
I think we've all kind of gone through those stages too. And it's, you kind of get over one little hill or one little mountain, and then the next one comes, which is slightly bigger. And then, this whole roller coaster ride, as we say.
Yes, it is. So at the moment, it's a bit of the opposite. I almost keen to do anything to keep my business growing and going, because the idea of commuting and the idea of having a boss, being told what to do, having someone questioning the hours that I work, what time you come in, if I have a medical appointment, if I have to pick up my kids, if a kid is sick. It makes me sick to think about it, to be honest.
Yeah. So where did you kind of start the business, Fernanda? Like, you kind of had this experience in events and all that, that you were working in. When did the business come into your sort of reality? Yeah,
so after that first job, I went to 2 other jobs. So I changed jobs about 2 times. And I was in a job that I quite enjoyed in the city, and it was marketing events. So I didn't organize the event anymore, but I was doing all the marketing for expos and events like that. And then, of course, I started a family. I got pregnant with my first daughter, which is very much planned and very much wanted. I went on my maternity leave, and precisely 1 week before I was due to return, my boss called saying that the office in Melbourne was going to close. They were merging they had 3 offices in Australia, and they were merging all and putting all in Sydney because it was more cost effective for the company. And so everybody in Melbourne was being let go. And I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? I was literally in tears. I was desperate because I was going back as a part-time and not full-time. My boss was super nice. My colleagues were really nice too. And I thought I can definitely make it work. It was also settled. I had already put my daughter in daycare. All right, what do I do now? So I started looking for part-time jobs. And as I mentioned, part-time jobs, if you are a graduate, great. But I wasn't a graduate, and I wasn't going to settle for it. I'm like, forget it. I'm not doing that. So I thought it's now or never. And my husband said to me, you always talked about opening your own business. Maybe this is the right time to give it a go. So I started. I just, jump on Squarespace, started a website, got a logo. What am I going to call? The name Fab Marketing came from a bit of a joke. I mean, a bit of laughing with my friends when I mentioned I was doing that. And I said, Tom suggested Fab because Fab is F for Fernanda, A for Alberici, B for Bruce, which is his surname. Yeah, and we always joked about, I didn't take my husband's surname when I got married because I'm a feminist, and I'm going to just say it. But, he was obviously helping me, and I thought I could use the B. And they said, that sounds fantastic. No, you have to go with it. And I said, doesn't it sound a bit, I don't know, like big head. Who am I to say I'm Fab? And they said, no, it's perfect. So I okay, Fab Marketing it is.
And you went with it.
And I went with that. And then I just started. And to be honest, the day that I put out there on Facebook groups and stuff that I was starting a business, I was living in Altona. I kid you not, the day after I got a call. Someone had seen a post on the Facebook group and was interested in talking to me about their marketing. And so there I got my first client the day after I started my business.
That's awesome. That's amazing. It's funny how things kind of fall into place. Like you kind of had that turmoil in the job you had planned to go back to. You had a daycare sorted, part-time was all sort of sorted. And then that didn't happen. But because that door closed, this door opened, and opened so quickly.
I know, very quickly. But, having said that, I think in the first year, I worked with 3 clients, and there was more projects, and I made no money. I'm not going to BS anybody here. And I was also, then I got also pregnant with my second daughter in the process. And so I knew it was a bit of a slow start. It was going to be a slow start because I was planning the second pregnancy as well. And then I took time off. So I had like 3 clients, get a taste of it, start posting, seeing up. I didn't know the world of small businesses. I jumped on these Facebook groups that, most of us are in, really. And I met so many people. I'm like, so many women are doing this. I was shocked.
I think we're all in like the spare room at home in our own little bubble.
Yeah.
And you don't know, the next door neighbor might be doing the same thing and you don't even know.
No, you don't know. I'm like, what? There are people doing this. So, yeah. And then Julia was born and I took some time off, obviously. And then I thought, I want to go back to the business because if I can make it work, then I don't have to go to work. I don't have to get a job and commute and all that. And with 2 children, it really, things get a bit heavier. One is a lot more manageable than 2. I remember my mom telling me 1 is 1, 2 is an army. And I can't imagine how people do with 3 or 4. Don't want to think about it. So, yeah, so the second time around, I really gave it a shot.
Were you kind of like, if it doesn't work out, what am I going to do? Or were you just like, well, let's just wait and see?
I was a little bit worried because at the time, first I needed the money. Also, I was a bit worried about what a big gap on my resume would do to my career. I think in a way it's silly now. I don't know. I have no idea because I never applied for a job again. So I have no idea how someone would look at it. Now I feel a lot better because if someone look at it, I actually ran my business for now 6 years. It's quite successful. I made a living out of it. I have a ton of client testimonials. And so I think it looks different. But at the time I thought, what a big gap would do to my resume. And that was a bit of a worry. But then my husband said, no, you're going to have a lot to show for. So he was always very encouraging as well. And then I thought, well, I'll give it a go. If it doesn't work, I'll get a job.
How did you find the next clients? Was it all through sort of socials or?
No, it was a bit of everything. So it was a bit on socials, a bit of referrals. I have a friend who also does Facebook ads. At the time, I didn't just do Facebook ads. In fact, I did marketing strategies, I did marketing plans, I did a bit of social media content as well, email, I did Facebook ads. So I wasn't specializing, I was more of a generalist, but I had a friend who was a Facebook ads specialist. And sometimes when she had too many clients, she would refer one to me. And in fact, she was the first person to train me in Facebook ads. But she said, if I have to send clients to someone, I want that someone to be able to provide a service. So she trained me to do Facebook ads, and I was forever grateful for that, obviously. And so I started getting a few clients like that. Also, at the time, there was a small business festival run by the government in Victoria. And so I applied to run a workshop. And then I ran a workshop in Brunswick, in fact. And that's where I met some of the people that are in your group, Danielle. I met Katinka there. She came to the workshop. I met Hayley, I think.
Hayley Robertson?
Yes, that's the one, Hayley. So I met her there as well. And I met a few other people. And it's a funny thing, even if, I don't remember what I got a client out of it. Maybe I got 1 or 2. But what I got out of it was referrals. Because even the people who came, even if they didn't hire me, they then refer other people to me. Yeah. And the very interesting thing about it is I met someone who is now a very good friend of mine. And she also does marketing. And at the time, I remember, of course, I was checking everybody who registered to see whether any of them could be a potential client. And I remember seeing, this person was a marketing consultant. And I got annoyed. I felt annoyed. Not a marketing person coming to my workshop. Why are you coming to my workshop? Which is a very silly mentality. And I very quickly realized that. So that person who I was so annoyed about became a very good business friend, business supporter. And she has referred so many clients to me. Seriously. So we to this date, we still help and support each other, with clients and campaigns and I'm meeting her next week, in fact.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Like, I think, within our She Will Shine community, we see it all the time. industry, what is so-called supposed to be competitors, actually working together and helping each other. And like I said, referring when a job's not quite right for them, it might be the right fit for you, or, you know, you can chat about pricing or whatever, because you've got someone who completely understands your business to bounce those ideas off.
Yeah, that idea that I used to have about competitors, of course you do have competitors to a level, but, you know, it just completely disappeared once I started to realize that other marketing people could actually be allies rather than, you know, competitors, and we could help each other. And you know what? I don't want 20 clients per month. I can't even deal with 10 clients, if I'm going to be honest with you. You know, I only want a handful of clients. So there are clients for everybody, for sure. Yeah. You know, so people can collaborate and help and prefer and not be so scared about the competition.
Yeah, the scarcity mindset.
Yeah, that takes you nowhere. To finalize that, the year after, that workshop went so well that I ran 3 workshops then through the Small Business Festival. And then again, I got a lot out of it. And then so a bit of everything, really.
Did you enjoy that kind of interaction, that face-to-face interaction? Because, you know, you'd run events and things like that. So you were you craving that?
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it. I remember getting home with my boobs bursting. Milk. And I said to my husband, I was born to do this. I loved it. Like I had such a, you know, spike in energy. So yeah, no, I really enjoyed it.
Do you miss that now in your business?
Yes and no. I do like doing presentations. So I was doing one 2 days ago. I don't know if you saw, for K-Tunes membership.
Oh, yes. Yep.
Yeah, I do enjoy it, and I think I'll keep on doing it, if you know what I mean. Last year I was speaking at Life in Style as well in Melbourne and Reed Gift Fair. Yeah, no, I truly enjoy it. When I get there, at first I always think, why did I do this? Why am I doing it? Well, whose idea was this? You know, because I do get nervous like everyone else, I think. But once I start talking, as you can tell by now,
you love a good chat, don't you, Fernanda?
I love it, and I do know my craft. So when I start talking, I get passionate about it. You know, what it can do for businesses, and people ask questions, and it's so interesting when I prepare any presentation to realize how much I know, because you know, imposter syndrome is always there, right? It just never leaves you fully, and sometimes I do question myself as well, and how much do I actually know? Am I good enough? And when I'm preparing all those presentations and speaking and answering questions, I realized, gee, I really know a lot. Like I couldn't put on a presentation what I know, because people run for the hills.
Yeah, but that's the thing, isn't it? Because how often do we reflect on that kind of stuff that we've learnt over the years? Like how many years have you been running a business now? Was it 6 years?
6 years, counting from my second child. Somewhat don't count my first year, because I felt like there was a bit of a, I don't know.
Well, we'll count it. Let's say 7 years. I'll say 7 years, because you still learnt stuff in your business at that time. But we don't like think about the things that we've done over that time. So I've been running She Will Shine. In September it'll be 9 years. Like, oh my gosh, 9 years. And I've seriously, like, I think I've kind of put a wall between pre-COVID and post-COVID. And I don't remember what I've done pre-COVID. And then the other day I was looking through some things. It's like, oh, wow. Oh, yeah, I did do that. Oh, gosh. Yeah, actually, you know, like, it's really, I think, important to kind of take that time to look back and say, wow, like, if you were talking about someone else, you go, oh, that's amazing. But because we kind of go, you kind of forget about it and gloss over it.
I know what you mean. I remember at some point in my business, that was during COVID, I think the first year of COVID, actually, I thought I was going to have to close the doors, because most of my clients were service-based businesses, and a few of them were gyms. You know, and obviously the fitness industry was hit, just like any brick and mortar business that needs to have that physical doors open type of thing, although they all kind of adapted well, I think. But they didn't they were not going to advertise, mate. You know, like they were worried about keeping the customers that they had doing some online thing. So I lost pretty much all of my clients, most of my clients, really, 9 out of 10, let's put it this way. But in March 2020, that's when I welcomed my first e-commerce client. And that's when I also had to change my mindset and go, hang on, I don't need to work only with service. I can do e-commerce. And now the shops are closed. They need to advertise because they need to sell online. So it was my best year in business.
Do you think that particular, like before you kind of opened your eyes and thought, hang on, e-commerce is out there, was that the biggest challenge, do you think, in your 6 years?
No.
What do you think was the biggest?
My biggest challenge was to overcome my own mindset. I kid you not, like my imposter syndrome for years was huge. It's just huge. I'm like, I honestly, sometimes I knew how to market. I know how to market. I knew how to promote myself. I knew how to sell, but I held myself back so much because, fear, mindset, like, I don't know, just couldn't quite, pass that fear and that poor mindset of mine. But then when COVID hit, a lot of things happened also on a personal level. For example, my husband wasn't sure whether he was going to lose his job. And I thought, I have to step up here. I can't keep just staying in the shadows anymore. I have to step up. And I knew that I knew what I was doing. Like, you know the results you're getting your clients. And I'm the kind of person who I keep on upskilling all the time. I've done countless Facebook ad courses. I've done a certification last year. I think I even celebrated in your group. And I'm still a member of that group because I want people to look at the ads I'm doing. I want people to give me feedback. I need a mentor to tell me that what I'm doing is the best that I can do. Yeah. So I had to step up and I had to overcome that mindset. And I think that was the biggest challenge, really. Once I knew I was going for e-commerce, I just put myself out there and then e-commerce came to me.
I'm seeing a pattern, Fernanda, like whenever you set your mind to something, once you've decided you want something, you go for it.
That's right.
That could be this stubborn Italian in you, because I quite have that.
Yeah. Do you know what? All the biggest challenge I ever had in my life, and I remember discussing this with my mom on numerous occasions, was when I didn't know for sure what I wanted. Like, I have one foot here and one foot there, and then none of it takes off, right? Everything, it doesn't feel right. Nothing feels right. It's when I don't know. I'm undecided for whatever reason. The second that I go, I'm here. I'm going to this direction, and that's the end of it. It just, it goes and it goes so fast.
And I think a lot of the women in our She Will Shine community, we're doers. I think I've said this before, but we're doers. Once we've set our mind to something, we just action it and we take it and we run with it and we do our best and et cetera, et cetera. But I think it's hard when you're in the limbo, when you got 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and it's like, this isn't my happy place.
No, this isn't working. That's right. No, I agree with you. And I think it happens a lot, perhaps, with small businesses like us, because we have to be the drivers. We need to choose. We can choose. And the options are many, right? There is no one telling you where you need to go. This is your direction, follow. And the second is the mindset. Imposter syndrome mindset plays a big part in it. Whether, can I really do it? Can I actually do it?
I think as well, like, it doesn't just come up once and you overcome it and you're right forever. It keeps rearing its ugly head, like, throughout. I think whenever a big challenge comes, right, you've got to rise to that challenge.
Yeah.
And that's when you kind of think, can I do it? I don't know if I can do it. Like, all those negative thoughts and all those things come in your head and you're just like overwhelmed by it all. And you have to overcome that hurdle. And then you keep traveling along, and then comes the next one. Like, that self-development on that journey is just huge.
Huge. And I think the other thing is that we also need to realize that even if you go for it and it doesn't work, you learn something from it.
Yeah.
You definitely learn not something, but a lot from it. And it's part of your development. It's part of your success. The failures are part of the success. If you'd never try anything new, then, well, how are you going to grow? Where are you going to go? And I'm the first to tell this to my kids. First not to follow my own advice. I tell my kids, that's great. You made a mistake. That's great. That means you tried something new. You really tried it. Try again. Make another mistake. I say that to them a lot because I grew up in a family where you were not quite allowed to make mistakes. So I know the impact that has on me. Even nowadays when I tell myself, it's okay, you can make the mistake, but it's in the back of my bloody mind.
Yeah.
That you're not quite allowed. So to my kids, I always tell, make another mistake. Come on.
Yeah.
Just do it.
You're giving them that permission to fail. And the quicker they fail, the quicker they learn.
Correct. And that's the same with us. Like, what's the worst that's going to happen, really? What's the worst? Right? It's not life or death. Like, we are not surgeons.
That's true. You put everything in perspective, right?
Right.
And Fernanda, you recently made a tree change. So you were in Altona, which was the western suburbs of Melbourne.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're in Torquay, beautiful coastal part of Victoria. I'm very jealous. How was that, I guess, from a personal perspective, but also in moving the business?
Well, moving the business was very, very smooth. No one even noticed. If I don't tell anybody that I moved, just people don't know, because my clients are all over Australia, really. Even the ones who are in Melbourne, I think I have most of my clients, I never met them in person, always online. So it was very smooth. I think the only thing that I do miss is to be able to attend more in-person events in Melbourne. And it was very frustrating because, as you know, I love in-person events. I love in-person connection. And as I work by myself in this little office of mine, going out and meeting people is very, it gives me a lot of energy. I really enjoy it. So that's one of the challenges that I found moving here. I have to start growing my network here so I can do that. And sometimes I do travel to Melbourne, but it just restricted me a little bit in that regard. Because, I'm lazy. I don't like to travel to Melbourne.
We all get comfortable, right?
I'm definitely getting way too comfortable. I think it's the age, to be honest.
Yeah.
Now, personally, it took me a little while. I know Turkey is lovely. It's beautiful. It really is. It's wonderful. But all of my relationships, all of my friendships are in Melbourne. And they took me years and years and years to build those relationships. I have friends, I honestly have friends that have been my friends since I arrived in this country, which is a long time. But, so you don't make friends like those friends in a blink, and I'm getting older.
Yeah.
So, but now I think I've been here now for a year and we bought a house and I love it. I love it here. I really do. We've been taking our puppy for a walk recently after school. Sometimes also I love having a puppy, actually. He makes me walk. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be walking at all. So it's that excuse. I really need to go. And I was walking with my kids. They were running around and I had the puppy. And you end up meeting so many people because they also have dogs. I think every person in Turkey has a dog. I kid you not. And then I said to them, oh, I love Turkey, I said. And my kids said, me too. They were jumping and I said, oh, what do you like about it? And we all thought the same. Like, we really enjoy that you see cockatoos daily. You see galas daily. They are all around, the time they come out. It feels like it's a town. You're not in a farm, but it feels a bit more bushy, It feels surrounded by nature. It's so green, like the smell, you can smell the trees, and some days you can smell the sea as well, no matter where you are in Turkey. I'm not that close to the sea, but I can still smell the sea. And some days I can hear the sea as well.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, it's very, I love it. I love that we moved here. but I just need to find a way to come to Melbourne a bit more often.
Yes. Oh, well, we saw you the other week, so I was happy with that.
Yeah.
Have to make it more often. But yeah, that's the thing. And like you said, as you get older, you get more comfortable.
Yeah.
And it's like, the thought of travel. It's like, even for me, thought of going into the CBD, I'm like, and I'm only 20 minutes from it. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, oh, it's the CBD. I've got to catch the train or find parking. Like, it's all those things that just, and I'm not even that far. So
no,
yeah,
I know what you mean.
It does change. Yeah, 100%. We've kind of gone over the challenges of running the business, Fernanda. What has been like a couple of your proudest moments in running the business?
My proudest moments. I think my proudest moments are first to actually deliver the workshops that I did, because it's never a small thing to create a workshop, to promote the workshop, to show up in person to a bunch of people and speak in front of them. I think most people could relate to that. And deliver something that people actually enjoy and give you great feedback about. So, and also, I'll be honest with you, I think sometimes some of the results that I get for some of my clients, like there have been some results that I just, I have to tell myself, you made that business, like what you've delivered to that particular business, the number of sales, the amount of revenue that you help them create, it's really quite mind-blowing sometimes. It's not with every business, not with every client as well, because they also have different goals and different budgets and different business models and all. But and during COVID, I remember thinking, I am keeping these businesses alive. And not just alive, thriving during a time that they wouldn't otherwise. They maybe would close. Some of them would close, literally. So those for me were moments that I thought, wow, I'm doing this.
And you're part of their team.
Yeah.
Like, you're not just like an outsourced supplier kind of thing. When you're that entrenched in the results of the campaigns, and especially in COVID, when, of course, business wants to help business, et cetera, you're part of their team, and you're like integral to the success.
Yeah, absolutely. Too much sometimes. Too much, because sometimes I feel like I almost feel I'm too part of the business, and I do need to remind myself that no, they are one business and I am another business in a way.
I understand it completely. But that's when you love doing something so much.
Yeah.
That you want to see other people succeed, and you do. You feel what they feel. Yes,
you do. You absolutely do. But to have that responsibility and to think that you have sometimes turn a business around, it does make you smile a lot.
And you've got 2 girls, Fernanda. Do they want to run a business of their own, like Mum, when they get older?
I don't know. I don't know, actually. My girls are a little bit like I was when I was a child. They want to do and be everything. Mom, I don't know how to choose. I want to be this and I want to do that and there are other things. So I really don't know, but I have no idea whether they want to run a business of their own. Although my oldest often asks me, I want to start a YouTube channel. I want to do a TikTok channel. And I'm like, no, you're not going to do it. Well, after you're 18 and you're responsible for yourself, while you're little, I don't want your face on YouTube. Or maybe you just film my hands and then I talk over it. And she has all these ideas of having a YouTube channel and, thinking how many people are going to like it and follow and whatnot. And I'm like, no, child.
I've got a funny story for you about a YouTube channel. So my son has a YouTube channel, and I was very much about, you don't put your name on there, all that, name, people don't know where you live, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Anyway, he hasn't been on it for a while, but he loves footy, AFL footy. Yeah. And he talks about the Bulldogs and all this sort of stuff. And he had created videos and blah, blah, blah of their highlights and this and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, he has been recognized. He does have his face there because he does talk to the camera. He has been recognized when he's out and about 2 or 3 times from being on the YouTube channel.
Oh, how come? Oh my gosh.
I know. And I'm like, he's like famous.
Like
So yeah, that's just interesting because, I was very much against the YouTube channel and I'm still funny about it, but he was just talking about football. I'm like, okay, talking about football without any of the other silly stuff. And how's that?
Yeah, I hear you. How old is your son?
He's 13 now.
Yeah, well, he's a bit older. My oldest is 9.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're not going anywhere near YouTube.
Yeah, well, I'm like that with my daughter. I'm like, no, hang on.
No, I know social media way too well to feel too comfortable with my kids on social media.
So much for your time today, Fernanda. I'm so
pleasure.
glad that we got to have this chat.
Me too. I'll be honest with you. I always thought, am I one day going to be on the She Will Shine podcast? And I was hoping so. But here I am.
There you go. You've made it now. You've been on the podcast.
That's right.
Well, I'm glad I could make that happen for you.
Oh, thank you so much, Danielle. No, it's lovely being here. Really nice talking to you. As always, it always is lovely talking to you. I hope that people enjoy listening to this crazy roller coaster story.
Well, we've all got our crazy roller coaster stories, so I'm just grateful that we can share them. So I think we can learn so much from each other as well.
Yeah, that's right. If you're in business, you're definitely in for a roller coaster. There's no other way. I don't believe in another way, honestly.
I think someone had told me that at the beginning. I may not have done it. I don't know. But it's definitely going in blindly is not always a bad thing.
No, it's not. But I don't know, probably if someone had told me, I probably wouldn't have done it either. I would have gone and found myself a job and never got a taste for it, But now, as I said to you, now it's hard. I'm way too comfortable. I do my own hours and I work with whoever I want to work, and it's not just the client who chooses me, it's I also choose the client and so on. And, the amount of flexibility and freedom that it gives me is second to none. Like, what else is going to give me this?
That's right.
Nothing, absolutely nothing.
Thank you so much, Fernanda. It's been a pleasure.
My pleasure.
And thank you to everyone for joining us today on the She Will Shine podcast. We will have another fabulous female founder story just around the corner. See you later.
Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode of the She Will Shine podcast, we invite you to check out shewillshine.com.au. She Will Shine is the essential support network you need to grow a thriving, meaningful business. We can help you grow your network, connect and develop genuine relationships, be supported and support others in building and growing a successful business on your terms. Say goodbye to working alone and become a member at shewillshine.com.au.